When we picture leadership, the images that come to mind usually look a lot like comfort. We imagine the corner office, the unquestioned authority to give orders, and the public applause that follows a major victory. But strip away that outer shell of prestige, and the daily reality of being in charge looks very different. The true essence of guiding others is defined by pain, whether physical, psychological, or emotional. The writer Khalil Gibran captured this reality. Out of suffering have emerged the strongest souls. The most massive characters are seared with scars. You cannot have the authority without the scars. This massive gap between the expectation of a comfortable throne and the reality of a painful crucible is the defining paradox of what it means to actually lead. The primary source of a leader's pain comes down to radical accountability. It means taking absolute ownership of every outcome, regardless of who caused it. This creates a structural imbalance. When an organization succeeds, credit is distributed to the team, but when a project fails, the weight lands entirely on the person in charge. This uneven burden creates intense psychological isolation, the loneliness of command, leaving them silently holding public criticism. Making decisions that protect the collective group often requires doing things that destroy your personal popularity. It requires a complete sacrifice of your own ego, begging the question of why anyone would voluntarily sign up for the job. Curious, analytical tone. Pain serves as an active refining process. It is a mechanism that tests resilience and forces growth, rather than a senseless punishment to be endured. This psychological crucible strips away personal pride and exposes a person's absolute limits. When you reach the edge of your own abilities, it forces you to clarify your values and focus solely on what actually matters to the mission. During a crisis, the person at the top has to play two exhausting roles simultaneously. They act as the lightning rod, absorbing all the immediate anxiety of the organization, and the shock absorber, cushioning the blow when the team hits a major setback. Comfort cannot engineer the strength needed to hold that position. Only the constant friction of adversity can forge the empathy and the humility required to guide a team forward through uncertainty. To see how this psychological mechanism works in practice, we can look at the organizational framework developed by author Simon Sinek, who studies the difference between self-serving and service-oriented leadership. Sinek often points to the culture of the United States Marine Corps. In the Marines, the highest-ranking officers literally eat last. They intentionally endure the physical deprivation of hunger, standing in the mess hall until they know every single recruit under their command has been fed. Compare that to corporate structures where executives prioritize their own bonuses and comfort before addressing the needs of their employees. Protecting personal gain at the expense of the group rapidly erodes trust. By willingly enduring basic deprivation, the Marine officers send a physical signal that they submit to the needs of the group. That small, daily suffering directly engineers a deep psychological loyalty, making the team willing to sacrifice for the leader in return. We see the exact same mechanism operating on a massive, national scale when we look at the life of Nelson Mandela. Mandela's crucible lasted 27 years. For most of that time, he was heavily isolated as a political prisoner on the bleak, windswept compound of Robben Island. He spent his days breaking rocks in a limestone quarry, and his nights locked inside a damp, concrete box, roughly the size of a closet, with nothing but a thin mat on the floor. Yet nearly 3 decades of that intense deprivation failed to break him. Instead, the isolation acted as a whetstone, stripping away everything non-essential and sharpening his vision for a democratic, free South Africa. The magnitude of his suffering gave him supreme moral authority. By enduring the worst his enemies could inflict, he developed the exact moral courage necessary to later unite the fractured nation that imprisoned him. This is the ultimate function of the refining process. It takes someone who commands merely from a position of authority and transforms them into a servant of the people. From the perspective of the follower, human beings are naturally wired to reject leaders who try to direct them from a place of pure detachment or insulated privilege. We look for proof that our guides actually understand the road. Enduring the crucible earns the ultimate currency of leadership: credibility. Followers grant absolute trust to a leader who has proven they understand what the struggle feels like firsthand. With that credibility established, a leader can listen with real compassion. They make decisions informed by lived reality on the ground, rather than abstract theories mapped out on a boardroom whiteboard. Taking on the scars and the emotional weight is the necessary price of progress. It is the ultimate proof to your team that you are actually worth following.